Nick can't. Ooh,
yeah, I know. Yeah, I heard you. Yeah. Hate it. A new trend among parents is to choose baby names that sound cool as TikTok handles. Great news for little baby Trick Shot COVID Hoax. Yeah, I know you're excited. Former New York City mayor and current Rumpelstiltskin, Rudy Giuliani, canceled an appearance before the January 6th committee at the last minute Friday after he was denied a request to record the interview. I assume on a loose VCR flashing, he climbed to the top of the Empire State Building to promote his band 30 Seconds to Mars. The way the promotion works is if we buy enough albums, he'll jump.
Monday, Donald Trump testified under oath in his civil fraud trial, though technically he was never sworn in because the Bibles kept bursting into flames.
Wildlife officials in Tennessee have captured a 500-pound black bear living on a college campus. A black bear that, let's face it, took the spot of more deserving white and Asian bears.
That wasn't an eye joke, I swear.
Delta Airlines said that this winter's COVID surge cost them more than $400 million in canceled flights after 8,000 employees caught coronavirus, which would never happen to Spirit Airlines employees because when you fly Spirit, they keep... This week was Mental Illness Awareness Week, and trust me, we're aware. President and active bioweapon Donald Trump took his doctors hostage and broke out of the hospital like Sarah Connor in Terminator 2.
The Oscar-winning movie Oppenheimer finally premiered yesterday in Japan without warning. During his acceptance speech, Will Smith said, "Love will make you do crazy things." You know what else makes you do crazy things? Crazy. But I understand where Will's coming from. I mean, you can't expect him to sit there and watch another man jump all over his wife without signing an NDA. I tell you, I like this guy.
A plane in Brazil was stranded on the runway after the plane's wing was covered by a swarm of bees. Bees who work together to spell out, "Wing is missing screws."
A new study of pregnant women finds that vaping does not harm their babies as long as they're very careful shoving the vape up there. A new startup company is developing a male contraceptive that involves one injection that will prevent pregnancy for 10 years. So get ready for an exciting future of taking the man's word for it.
A woman in Italy has set a new world record for having the world's thickest tongue. Reached for comment, the woman said, "Thank."
In an interview, Senator Mitt Romney said that he will not vote for Donald Trump over Joe Biden. Now, some of you may remember Mitt Romney. It's going to be one of these kind of nights, huh?
Yeah. Mitch McConnell, seen here bringing peanuts into a preschool cafeteria, said he will tell Republican senators to vote against additional aid for Ukraine and Israel until there are meaningful changes to the border. But the way it came out was brains. Donald Trump. Like if he was trying to talk someone off a ledge, he'd be like, "Don't jump, even though your wife left you like a dog. And this would be the perfect way to get back at her."
All right.
This
is a really rough episode for me, Kyle.
An 11-day cruise is being offered next year from Miami to the Caribbean in which passengers will be nude. The cruise will offer pickleball, cornhole, and also games. This week, Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed after it was struck by a cargo ship that was carrying, you won't believe it, Boeing airplanes. Well, guys, the election is exactly 30 days away. Just think, in only 30 days, this whole nightmare will be nowhere close to over.
Donald Trump said that at the debates, he wants both of them to stand instead of sit. So that's the status of our presidency. Standing is a feat of strength. I think we can learn a lot more watching them both try to get out of a beanbag chair. During a campaign event marking the start of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, President Biden criticized Japan as being xenophobic, which is crazy because why would the Japanese be scared of foreigners? Oh my God, Drake just dropped another diss record, guys. I'm just kidding, I just say that when I bomb.
After Trump was photographed with some strange red marks on his hand, some dermatologists speculated it could be something called hand herpes. What the hell is hand herpes? Said Tim Scott.
In a new documentary, an ex-girlfriend of Prince Andrew describes Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell as Batman and Robin. Come on, what does Batman and Robin have in common with a billionaire that grooms teenagers?
The only way this could have gone worse for Trump is if they took away his businesses, which is, of course, what happens in next week's trial.
The CIA is marking its 75th anniversary by launching a podcast. And because it's the CIA, they're launching it directly into an Afghani wedding.
Yeah. A new study finds that during the pandemic, students' math scores dropped by almost 10%. Wow, so more than half.
New York City is now requiring employers to disclose salary ranges in all job listings. Employers must list everything ranging from the top salary all the way down to the female salary.
Some parents in Oregon are having large groups of their children ride their bikes to school at the same time in a formation they're calling a bike bus. And pedophiles are calling a buffet.
Police in Queens were searching for a suspect who hijacked a bus and then immediately crashed it into a utility pole. Okay, so we know it's a woman.
Tomorrow is the New York City Marathon, or as Fox News will report it, undocumented Africans run wild in streets of New York.
China has launched the third and final module for its permanent space station. Now all they have to do is launch some children to assemble it.
An Arizona woman was arrested after she allegedly went day drinking while her 5-month-old child was sitting home alone, like a loser.
Texas police arrested a woman who broke into a man's house, stripped naked, and slept in one of his beds. The man called the police when he realized the woman was not attractive.
Researchers say the number of gray whales off western North America has continued to decline for several years. It's a sad fact that makes me wonder if whale oil is really the best way to give my hair this amazing volume. British officials have unveiled King Charles III's new royal monogram. The C stands for Charles, the R is for Rex, and the 3 is for how many hundreds of yards Prince Andrew has to stay away from schools.
The Postal Service announced a new stamp honoring the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. There's also a stamp honoring Clarence Thomas that says, "Flip me over and start licking." In England are now using specially trained dogs to detect semen at crime scenes. This replaces the old method of detecting semen, slipping on it.
Elon Musk took over Twitter. Use of the N-word on the site has reportedly jumped 500%. It's the biggest increase in the use of the N-word since the last time I stubbed my toe.
A woman in Slovakia helped arrest a man robbing a gas station by performing oral sex on him until police arrived. The woman was able to stall him for that long by being terrible at it. Tensions are on the rise after North Korea launched more than 20 missiles into the ocean, and all because the Little Mermaid is black. It's not real.
This week, President Biden pardoned thousands of convicted marijuana users, and it feels like maybe he celebrated with them a little because yesterday, Biden gave a speech at a car factory and opened with this.
Let me start off with two words: made in America.
A group of researchers are trying to determine why humans have a desire to feed other animals, such as birds and squirrels. But if I had to guess, it's probably because their wife passed away. I don't know why I thought that'd make you laugh.
During a White House ceremony, President Biden wished Kamala Harris a happy birthday, then accidentally called her a great president. Even worse, he was talking to a portrait.
Woof. Residents in Rome are upset after a wild boar and her 6 piglets were killed on a playground near the Vatican. But it's like they say, nothing good ever happens on a playground near the Vatican. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
This week, there was a full moon known as the Beaver Moon, which can be seen about a month after a waxing moon.
That's a good joke. That's a good. Starbucks has launched a new eco-friendly program called Borrow a Cup, in which customers return their cup after finishing their drink so the store can use it again. And Dunkin' Donuts plans to compete with this promotion by not doing that.
The house where Lizzie Borden murdered her parents has been sold for $2 million and will be turned into a bed and breakfast. Though a bed and breakfast where a murder happened is pretty much just a day's in.
Virginia has become the first state in the South to abolish the death penalty. So if you'll excuse me, I've got some white women to whistle at.
The White House has introduced a new plan to put nutrition labels on the front instead of the back. So to give you an idea of the overall health of Americans, we're too lazy to do this.
Orthodox Jewish leaders in New York City lashed out at a newly imposed coronavirus restriction in their neighborhoods by setting fires and burning masks. And it's a miracle because the masks burned for 8 nights.
Come on, dude.
That's a good one. Come on. Stop it. Stop it.
Firefighters in Florida rescued a horse that fell into a septic tank and was nearly submerged in raw sewage. A horse submerged in raw sewage is also known as an Arby's beef and cheddar.
Arby's, we eat the horse.
In the wake of the R. Kelly verdict, there's a growing movement online to force music streaming services to remove his music. I mean, after all, streaming is basically what got him in trouble in the first place. A statue of George Floyd on display in a New York City park was defaced for the 2nd time. Police are searching for the suspect and are planning to serve him with a job application.
A woman in Taiwan who thought her boyfriend was cheating cut off his penis and flushed it down the toilet. I'm sorry, thought he was cheating?
South Carolina lawmakers voted to add firing squad to its execution methods. And I think it's nice that people will finally get the chance to be shot after they're found guilty. A woman in Arizona gave birth to a 14-pound baby boy. So now Arizona has 2 Grand Canyons. It's a math joke. I'm surprised you guys didn't get it.
Oh, my God.
A new study shows that the COVID vaccine does not cause infertility in men or women. Damn it, why did I get this?
A professional golfer in Florida was arrested after he tried to meet a 15-year-old girl he met online who turned out to be a detective. Said the golfer, "Mulligan?"
Come on, man.
Sadly, there's more. For those of you wondering, in golf terms, a 15-year-old is 3 under par.
It was reported that adult model Belle Delphine is making over $1 million a month by selling her used bath water, which is crazy because it doesn't taste that good.
A new study says that the combined mass of every ant on Earth is greater than the mass of every mammal and bird combined, thanks mostly to this juicy bitch. $400,000 worth of meth hidden inside pumpkins. They could tell the pumpkins were full of meth because they only had like 3 teeth left.
New York City Steakhouse Peter Luger has partnered with Madame Tussauds to filling its dining room with wax figures of celebrities during the pandemic. So now you can enjoy a steak with Jimmy Fallon, or have a dessert with Audrey Hepburn, or have a drink with, oh no, Bill Cosby. In the wake of the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, insiders praised President Biden's light touch when dealing with Benjamin Netanyahu. But in fairness, everything Biden does involves some kind of touch.
Pfizer also said that its COVID vaccine is safe and effective for teens aged 12 to 15. Well, that's a relief, said Matt Gaetz.
In a new documentary, an ex-girlfriend of Prince Andrew describes Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell as Batman and Robin. Come on, what does Batman and Robin have in common with a billionaire that grooms teenagers?
Disneyland's Snow White ride is being criticized because Prince Charming kisses Snow White without her consent while she's asleep, which still isn't as bad as Universal Studios' new Cosby the Ride.
A growing number of NFL players are filling up their off time by playing chess with each other. And also, let's see here, domestic violence. That's how they're spending their time, Colin.
Researchers have discovered a piece of 20-million-year-old petrified wood on the Greek island of Lesbos. They knew it was from Lesbos because it's double-ended.
Oh, man. Almost 100 art industry figures have criticized 4 different museum plans to postpone exhibits featuring an artist's paintings of the KKK. But if you want to see portraits of Klansmen, you can always search Jost on Ancestry.com. Okay, well, whatever. Yankees legend Whitey Ford died this week at the age of 91. Ford reminds us of a simpler time when you could just name your kid Whitey.
It is dark. It's getting worse. A woman flying to Detroit said she woke up to a pastor urinating on her, which explains why her dream was about her being baptized. A new law has been passed in California requiring companies to have more diversity in their board of directors, which is how I forced my way onto the board of BET. BET. There's going to be some changes around here.
Senator Bernie Sanders suggested that he supports replacing fellow Democrats Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Damn, Bernie, stabbing your own co-workers in the back? That's unforgivable. I would never suggest Collins should be fired, no matter how much better I think Bowen would be.
Hefner's former girlfriends revealed that the Playboy Mansion is haunted. She knew it was haunted because if you turn on a black light, you see ectoplasm everywhere. Gen Z icon Kyle Rittenhouse is petitioning the court for the return of his rifle so he can destroy it. I don't know. Careful, Kyle. Trying to get your memorabilia back is...
That a report of a homeless man sleeping on a bench turned out to be a statue, which was a huge relief because they shot it 15 times. Pebbles, who was the world's oldest living dog, has died at the age of 22. But it's okay. His owners knew this was coming if they didn't keep him off my yard.
A new poll shows that 75% of LGBTQ voters support Joe Biden. But 0% of them support Joe Biden guessing what the B, T, and Q stand for.
The Kremlin celebrated the illegal annexation of Ukraine with a night of entertainment in Red Square. Say what you will, but a gig's a gig.
Startup airline Boom Supersonic is hoping to eventually fly passengers anywhere in the world in 4 hours or less for just $100. So get ready to fly fast and cheap on the only airline named after the sound of an explosion. This is fun. A Canadian woman was fined more than $25,000 for illegally importing bull semen. Meanwhile, in the U.S., bull semen is sold legally under the name White Claw.
Doctors in China removed more than 120 magnetic beads swallowed by a 5-year-old boy. Wow. Wait till his boss at the factory hears about this.
The CDC is warning about a salmonella outbreak that's linked to bird feeders. Yet another piece of bad news for people who eat out of bird feeders.
A conductor of a bullet train is facing disciplinary action after he left the controls to use the bathroom while the train was traveling at nearly 100 miles an hour. But brother, that chili was traveling at that same speed.
New Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has been accused of spreading white supremacist ideas, which is crazy. We're now counting Italians as white? Sizzler restaurants have announced that as a result of the impact from COVID, they are filing for bankruptcy, which is probably a good idea since the Sizzler buffet is the closest thing America has to a Wuhan wet market.
The population of Los Angeles has fallen for the 3rd straight year. Well, it's like Colin always says, LA is just not the same without Harvey. You always say it, man.
Cool. Thanks, man. That's cool. Researchers say that a system on the International Space Station that turns astronaut urine into drinking water could be used to provide clean water on Earth, which is the kind of amazing innovation that makes me think, wait, then what are astronaut brownies made of? The chief, well, you're not going to like this. The chief of the Cherokee Nation is calling on car maker Jeep to stop using the tribe's name on its vehicles. So Jeep has agreed to change the name to, wow, the Aunt Jemima Mobile.
Singer R. Kelly was found guilty of racketeering and sex trafficking this week, but won't be sentenced until next May, after R. Kelly's lawyers successfully negotiated one more school year.
It was reported that federal authorities investigating the sex trafficking accusations against Matt Gaetz have secured the cooperation of his ex-girlfriend, but not until after her prom.
Doctors say that a man who came into an emergency room complaining about chest pains had a 10-centimeter chunk of cement lodged in his heart. Wow. Anyways, he's dead.
Mattel is releasing a Helen Keller Barbie doll. Just remember not to let her drive the Barbie Corvette.
A British woman was shocked when she discovered a 4-foot-long python in her toilet. But hey, that's Indian food for you.
You wish you could go back to the Grand Canyon joke, yeah. Officials in Georgia say that more than 50 children may have been exposed to coronavirus by a mall Santa, which is the second worst thing a mall Santa can expose children to.
The U.S. men's soccer team failed to qualify for the Olympics for the 3rd time in a row. But fellas, keep your heads up and remember that win or lose, you will always get paid more than the women's team. It's true.
Sesame Street has introduced 2 new black Muppets to help explain racial difference to children, which begs the question, are these Muppets white?
Thursday was National No Bra Day, which I celebrated by not supporting women. It's a broad joke.
Tuesday was National Puppy Day, unfortunately at Subway.
It was revealed that Freddie, the world's tallest dog, has died. The cause of death has been listed as ceiling fan.
This week, Britain's most eligible bachelor, Prince Andrew, officially deleted his Twitter account after he realized that's not the app with all the dancing teenagers. Catholic leaders issued new pandemic guidelines for Ash Wednesday, discouraging priests from wiping ashes directly off people's foreheads. And I think no touching could just be a great new rule in general.
Fisher-Price has launched an online museum showcasing its toys over the past 90 years. Or you can see them in person at America's most famous toy museum, the Neverland Ranch.
Southwest Airlines has changed their policy for emotional support animals and will now only allow cats and dogs on board, while over at Spirit, everyone's given a snake. M&M's announced that they've redesigned their iconic M&M characters after people requested that the brown M&M not look like a teacher who has sex with her students.
Police in Florida say that multiple shots were fired during a fight outside a Chuck E. Cheese, but there were no victims located. Maybe check the pizza? A new study by astronomers finds that the galaxy is not as black as previously thought after it was seen dating a white lady.
Southwest Airlines has changed their policy for emotional support animals and will now only allow cats and dogs on board, while over at Spirit, everyone's given a snake. M&M's announced that they've redesigned their iconic M&M characters after people requested that the brown M&M not look like a teacher who has sex with her students.
Florida say that multiple shots were fired during a fight outside a Chuck E. Cheese, but there were no victims located. Maybe check the pizza? A new study by astronomers finds that the galaxy is not as black as previously thought after it was seen dating a white lady.
It was reported that federal authorities investigating the sex trafficking accusations against Matt Gaetz have secured the cooperation of his ex-girlfriend, but not until after her prom.
Doctors say that a man who came into an emergency room complaining about chest pains had a 10-centimeter chunk of cement lodged in his heart. Wow. Anyways, he's dead.
Mattel is releasing a Helen Keller Barbie doll. Just remember not to let her drive the Barbie Corvette.
A British woman was shocked when she discovered a 4-foot-long python in her toilet. But hey, that's Indian food for you.
You wish you could go back to the Grand Canyon joke, yeah. Officials in Georgia say that more than 50 children may have been exposed to coronavirus by a mall Santa, which is the second worst thing a mall Santa can expose children to.
The U.S. men's soccer team failed to qualify for the Olympics for the third time in a row. But fellas, keep your heads up and remember that win or lose, you will always get paid more than the women's team.
It's true. Sesame Street has introduced 2 new black Muppets to help explain racial difference to children, which begs the question, are these Muppets white?
Thursday was National No Bra Day, which I celebrated by not supporting women. It's a broad joke.
Tuesday was National Puppy Day, unfortunately at Subway.
It was revealed that Freddie, the world's tallest dog, has died. The cause of death has been listed as ceiling fan.
This week, Britain's most eligible bachelor, Prince Andrew, officially deleted his Twitter account after he realized that's not the app with all the dancing teenagers. Catholic leaders issued new pandemic guidelines for Ash Wednesday, discouraging priests from wiping ashes directly off people's foreheads. And I think no touching could just be a great new rule in general.
Fisher-Price has launched an online museum showcasing its toys over the past 90 years. Or you can see them in person at America's most famous toy museum, the Neverland Ranch.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Michael Che.
I'm Colin Jones.
Hall, President Biden discussed the importance of addressing mental health, saying a broken spirit is no different than a broken arm. Well, if I keep betting on the Giants, I'm going to have both.
A squirrel that appeared to be holding hands with a woman. See, it's like Che always says, gay marriage is a slippery slope. The International Handball Federation's agreed to allow female players to wear bike shorts instead of bikini bottoms, but they're still insisting that refs use this whistle. Former President Trump was filmed doing the tomahawk chop at a World Series game in Atlanta. Native American groups said they found it extremely offensive to see their culture associated with someone who can't even run a successful casino.
Pfizer announced that it has developed an antiviral pill that can reduce hospitalization among COVID patients by nearly 90%. And even better, it makes you harder than trigonometry. Stephen Sweeney, the New Jersey Senate president, lost his re-election bid in an upset to a truck driver named Edward Durr. Coincidentally, Durr is also the New Jersey state motto.
Our top story tonight, like it's been for as long as I can remember, infrastructure. Last night, the House passed President Biden's $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, which should be enough to clean as many as 2 of LaGuardia's bathrooms. The infrastructure bill will also expand internet access across the U.S., which is great news because when has more internet ever been bad for America? I mean, come on. The guy just turned 79. Half the country already thinks he's senile. You can't drop all that on him the second he comes out of the gas. I honestly can't believe how well it went. Remember David after the dentist? I'm surprised we didn't get Biden after the colonoscopy.
On Friday.
It's not real, guys. It was announced that for the first time ever, Disney parks will feature black Santa Clauses, unfortunately as part of the Villains Parade.
Mel Gibson is reportedly in talks to direct a new Lethal Weapon movie. But if you want to see a broken down black guy team up with a handsome racist, just watch Weekend Update. A Washington, D.C. art school is postponing renaming its theater after alumni Dave Chappelle following his Netflix special controversy. Well, of course, because God forbid you should name a building after someone problematic in Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, my old high school insists on keeping the Michael Che Sucks Butt bathroom star.
Well, yesterday was a weird one for President Biden. He went under anesthesia for a colonoscopy, and when he woke up, the House had passed the $2 trillion social safety net bill. The Rittenhouse verdict was announced, and a woman had technically been president for the first time ever. And while Biden was processing all that, he was rushed off to pardon a turkey named Peanut Butter.
Began on Monday, and I, for one, thought it'd never come. Smith College has become the first women's college to eliminate student debt by replacing loans with grants, because the ladies should never have to pay. An 81-year-old pharmacist in Pennsylvania was arrested for allegedly trading drugs for sexual favors. Wow, so he's a pharmacist now. Oh, that's good. Republican Winsome Sears, seen here attempting suicide by cop, was elected as Virginia's first black female lieutenant governor. But this is actually a win for Democrats because nothing will get Republicans to support gun control faster than this picture.
In the wake of Republican success in this week's elections, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy announced that Republicans would introduce a Parents' Bill of Rights, which I'm pretty sure is just a sign you could buy at Home Goods. A professor at a college in Virginia is being criticized after saying that it is not immoral for adults to be sexually attracted to children. Find out why in his new book. Wait, hold on, hear me out. This week, the U.S. experienced the longest partial lunar eclipse in nearly 600 years. Scientists say the eclipse began when Yo Mama got on the trampoline.
New research shows that before honeybees are killed by murder hornets, they scream a rally cry to other bees, who sadly just film the attack on their phones.
A man surprised his girlfriend by bringing her on stage to propose to her during an Adele concert. Then they sat down and listened to an hour of songs about divorce. Matt Gaetz said his office would be open to hiring Kyle Rittenhouse as a congressional intern, because Gaetz has always loved teenagers who are willing to do terrible things.
A plastic surgeon posted a video on TikTok claiming that the rumor is true that the size of a person's nose has a direct connection to the size of his penis. Oh, so that's why Camilla's smiling.
30,000 people were locked inside Shanghai Disneyland after one visitor tested positive for COVID. So let this be a lesson to all you kids out there. If you aren't more careful about COVID, you'll end up living at Disney World. A high school principal has apologized for unsportsmanlike conduct of the school's football team after they beat another team 106-0. Apology accepted, said the Jets. With his victory, Eric Adams will become New York's second black mayor, not to be confused with the New York mayor who blacks out. Adams defeated Republican Curtis Sliwa, who will now return to his previous job as Emily in Paris's lawyer.
Democrat Terry McAuliffe lost to Republican Glenn Youngkin in the Virginia governor's race. But on the bright side, losers from Virginia usually get a statue. Political experts say that the Republican victory in Virginia's governor's race was fueled by support from white women who didn't go to college, which just so happens to be the same exact group I target on Tinder.
Surrendered to the FBI on contempt of Congress charges and said, "We are taking down the Biden regime." Well, I hate to break it to you, Steve, but I think Biden's got that covered all on his own. Bannon addressed his supporters in a live stream on Getter, a social media platform popular with Trump allies. Getter is named after what its users say whenever they see a woman walking alone.
Royal experts are saying that Queen Elizabeth's health has entered a different phase, and the public may not see her until February. So you know what that means. New titties.
Thanks. That wasn't a dress. Anyway, a self-portrait by Frida Kahlo was sold at auction for the record sum of $34 million, a price that definitely raised some eyebrow. Some of my best work. Arizona Congressman Paul Gosar, seen here watching an interracial couple walk by, has officially been censured after posting a violent anime video that depicted him killing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. But I don't know, he's a 60-year-old man who makes his own anime. When he heard he was getting punished, he was probably like, is it nipple clamps?
On Friday, Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty in the murder of two men during a Black Lives Matter protest. So hopefully he got all that shooting out of his system before he becomes a cop. Protests are being held all around the country in response to the acquittal of Kyle Rittenhouse, which is brave because Rittenhouse just got off for shooting protesters. I don't know, maybe don't tempt them?
The TSA reports that in the first 3 months of this year, they've intercepted 1,500 guns in carry-on bags, and the majority of them were loaded. Because you're giving me that window seat. It was reported that the James Bond books are being rewritten to remove offensive material. So the character Pussy Galore will now be called Cooter Aplenty. A debate has renewed in the Netherlands this week over the country's Christmas tradition of Black Peter, who is a black-faced assistant to white St. Nicholas. I don't know how the debate turned out, because once I Googled the words Black Peter, work took away my internet.
I knew it was going to come out of you someday. Today was the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby, also known among horses as Squid Game.
There was actually an error in the LA Times obituary for O.J. Simpson. In the section about his prison time, instead of writing O.J. walked out of the Lovelock Correctional Center, they wrote Trump walked out of the Lovelock Correctional Center, a free man for the first time in 9 years. And it's not a great sign for Trump that even autocorrect thinks he belongs in jail.
It was announced that both Boomer Esiason and Phil Simms are leaving CBS's The NFL Today. The former quarterback said they want to spend more time figuring out which one is which.
A new census report shows that by the end of the year 2060, 1 out of every 4 Americans will be Latino. That's how good Bad Bunny's music is. Donald Trump also told supporters that if he's elected, he will focus on anti-white racism. Thank God. My people have suffered long enough. Sorry, Che, but time's up.
House Speaker Mike Johnson said that he is blurring the faces on the footage of January 6 rioters so that none of them would be charged with a crime. So unfortunately, we'll never know who they are.
A new study finds that your risk of developing diabetes depends on how fast you walk and whether this sound plays while you're walking.
It was reported that Sylvester Stallone is writing a memoir. The memoir is 300 pages long and has a word count of 1. That's good acting, right, Colin? You like that? New Jersey police recaptured an escaped pig named Albert Einstein. They call him Albert Einstein because compared to people in New Jersey, pigs are geniuses. Oh, man.
Wow.
New York City officials are considering controlling the city's growing rat population by using birth control pellets, which will also finally let female rats focus on their careers.
An elementary school teacher in Wisconsin was arrested after she allegedly made out with one of her 5th grade students just months before her wedding, which is why you should never have your bachelorette party at Chuck E. Cheese.
Scientists in Portugal have accidentally created a mouse embryo that has an extra leg where its genitals should be. And brother, same. Scientists in New Guinea have rediscovered a long-lost mammal called a monotreme, which has the quills of a hedgehog, the snout of an anteater, the feet of a mole, and the ass of an angel.
Doritos has created new software called Doritos Silent, which removes the sound of eating from video calls. Not to be outdone, Taco Bell is working on new software that removes the sound of screaming from bathrooms.
This week, sky gazers were treated to the beaver moon, which is only visible for a few seconds when the moon gets out of the shower.
An 11-day cruise is being offered next year from Miami to the Caribbean, in which passengers will be nude. The cruise will offer pickleball, cornhole, and also games. A new report chronicles a disorder called sexsomnia, in which people try to have sex while they're asleep. The report was written by someone named Phil Fosby. The TSA reports that in the first 3 months of this year, they've intercepted 1,500 guns in carry-on bags, and the majority of them were loaded. Because you're giving me that window seat. It was reported that the James Bond books are being rewritten to remove offensive material. So the character Pussy Galore will now be called Cooter Aplenty.
Texas Governor Rick Perry said that running for the presidency is not an IQ test. Of course it's not an IQ test. And it's also not a lie detector test, or an ethics test, or a foot race. The Girl Scouts have announced that for the first time, their cookies will be available for sale on the internet. The way it works is you contact the Girl Scout on the internet, and then cookies are waiting for you in prison.
Mexican officials are upset with Pope Francis after he said he was concerned about the increased drug trafficking in his native Argentina, calling it Mexicanization. Pope Francis later apologized, calling his comment, quote, as dumb as a Guatemalan. A theme park in England has banned all single people from entering the park to protect children from possible pedophiles.
At New York's
so
JFK
let this be a lesson to all you pedophiles out
arriving
there.
from West
Start
Africa.
working in
They're
teams.
focusing on JFK because not even Ebola would go to LaGuardia.
A nurse in New Jersey won a Lay's potato chip contest by creating the new flavor of wasabi ginger, which sounds less like a chip flavor and more like something Joe Biden would accidentally call the Chinese ambassador.
New York's famed Carnegie Deli is opening in Philadelphia that will pay its waiters $13 an hour, but will not allow customers to tip them. Club. The no tipping policy has been in effect for years among its black customers. Legendary number 2. I'm kidding. That's what makes black people tip. I tip like 65% of the time. According to a new study of fossils, the act of sex used by humans Clinton recently fueled speculation that she may run for president. When she made an appearance in Iowa and said, "Hello, years ago." But it wasn't perfected until last night by your mama. That's not effectively saying, "Hello, Iowa, I'm black."
A British cafe has introduced a new breakfast called the Hibernator, which is 8,000 calories and contains bacon, sausage, cheese omelets, waffles, toast, black pudding, and beans. And if you're able to finish the entire thing, they'll even make a plaque with your name on it.
One minute we hug, next minute we barely even hold conversations fine with me. I was born a savage, I can take the damage. Something's weighing heavy, created too much pain.
A shepherd in Germany has discovered a rare geep, which is a sheep-goat hybrid. It's believed to be the first sheep-goat hybrid to be discovered since Kid Rock. Buddy Valastro, the star of the reality show Cake Boss, was arrested in Manhattan on charges of drunk driving and allegedly told officers, "You can't arrest me, I'm the Cake Boss." Which might have worked if those officers were cakes.
According to an annual ranking by Orkin Pest Control, the places in America with the worst bedbug problems are Chicago, Detroit, and your mama. For the first time in 5 years, the price of oil fell below $60 a barrel, which is so low that it's also a pretty good deal on barrels. According to a new study, marijuana is the safest recreational drug people can use. Huh, interesting. Said 1 million black dudes in jail for marijuana.
TLC has canceled the reality show Here Comes Honey Boo Boo after it was reported that Mama June is dating a convicted sex offender, even though convicted sex offender is the show's key demographic. A new study shows that Beaumont, Texas is the least educated city in the country. Oh man, wait until they don't read about this.
So while I may never forgive Bill Cosby, hopefully someday I can forgive Dr. Huxtable. I mean, I know it's not the same thing, but I forgave Kramer.
In a speech this week, Hillary Clinton stressed the need for compromise in Washington, saying she hopes to lead the country into, quote, a warm purple space, which is the same line Grimace uses to get you into his windowless van.
In other news, a major power outage struck Detroit this week, leaving roughly 100 buildings without power. The problem will be fixed once someone in Detroit notices the difference.
Prince William and Kate Middleton visited New York City this week. While they were here, they saw the Brooklyn Nets play against LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron finished with 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 steal.
The NFL is investigating claims that the New England Patriots deflated game balls before their AFC Championship win. Man, that Bill Belichick always has a trick up his nose sleeves. The Patriots, of course, deny the cheating accusations, saying the only deflated balls they have are because of steroids.
It was announced that Pope Francis will visit New York City in September and hold a mass in Madison Square Garden.
AMC Theaters is celebrating Black History Month by offering $5 tickets to recently released black-led movies like Wakanda Forever and The Woman King. They're also honoring black people by starting the movie 20 minutes late. Did you get that, Colin?
I don't know. I don't even know what you're talking about. During a White House ceremony, President Biden wished Kamala Harris a happy birthday, then accidentally called her a great president. Even worse, he was talking to a portrait of Michelle Obama. This week, Elon Musk officially bought Twitter for $44 billion, beating out the next highest offer of $0.
Rishi Sunak will become Great Britain's first ever prime minister of Indian descent. Said his mom, okay, why not king?
Oh, God. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, for the first time, denied months-old rumors that he had died and been replaced by a look-alike from Sudan. See, even Africans can't tell black people apart.
We're searching for a suspect who hijacked a bus and then immediately crashed it into a utility pole. Okay, so we know it's a woman.
An American woman set a new record by visiting every country in the world in 19 months. And after all that travel, she found the one thing that had been inside her all along: Zika. A new study finds that during the pandemic, students' math scores dropped by almost 10%. Wow, so more than half.
A new study finds that frogs in the rainforest have a higher pitch call than urban frogs. The study also finds that female frogs be shopping.
It was reported that the Boy Scouts of America are considering filing for bankruptcy in the face of declining membership. Yeah, apparently there's some problem with their business model of hoping parents will pay adult strangers to take their children deep into the woods.
Users who is looking at their pictures. Uh-oh, said a bunch of high school teachers.
A church in Massachusetts has created a nativity scene that comments on the immigration debate by placing the baby Jesus in a cage, where he belongs. Actor Jared Leto climbed to the top of the Empire State Building to promote his band 30 Seconds to Mars. The way the promotion works is, if we buy enough albums, he'll jump.
A new survey shows that 92% of adults prefer to date someone who's been to therapy, while 8% prefer good sex.
The location of Sex Island, that's a terrible transition. I didn't know that we're going to be back-to-back. That's not, it's a weird badge to get. The location of Sex Island, which is a 4-day drug-fueled event featuring prostitutes and an exclusive resort, has been revealed to be an island off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago. This, according to the plane ticket I saw in Shay's hand.
See you there. Kanye West has now been dropped by Adidas, The Gap, Balenciaga, and all bar mitzvah playlists. In the wake of Kanye's anti-Semitic comments, Adidas said it will stop making Yeezy shoes. Fans of Yeezy say it's the worst thing to happen to them since any puddle.